This is my little quilt, Tiny Tigers, and I made this quilt for my daughter Alyssa, who always collected tigers. And again, she's wondering, when am I going to get my little quilt, Mom? Eventually, it's still touring around. So this quilt is all silk, and its twin, Tiny Tigers 2, won Best Miniature at AQS. I designed this quilt after I made Imagining India, which is another of my quilts, a wall-size quilt that I made before I went to India. And I was fascinated with some of the pictures I'd seen of these pennants or flags hanging in the houses. So that gave me the idea for these little tabs at the bottom. And this has, again, purchased trims around the edge. I've embellished the background with decorative stitches. This one doesn't have any sequins, but I did find some kind of shiny fabric that I've used in there. That's a little bit of sparkle. Oh, deciding what to put on the tabs. I think I was looking through my pictures and just finding fun little motifs and different little birds and plants. It's very fun. That's one of my favorite things, is doing the drawing and designing. And then I get to make a little quilt. I mainly use a lightweight cotton batting, Hobbs Heirloom, an 80/20. I have tried using silk batting, which seemed fine. You know, when I go to layer up the quilt and to baste it together, I go to my box of batting scraps and find one that's big enough for the quilt, because you don't need a lot. And then I pin baste them together and kind of do it just like you do a big quilt. I do like to use on the backs of these a nice fine lightweight cotton fabric, so I try to use my collection of Liberty of London fabrics for that. Just makes a beautiful backing. This is my quilt Whig Rose, based on a traditional antique quilt design, a 4-block applique, which I just love. And I actually did the applique in the 4 little blocks, and then I sewed those together. I did a little square and a square Seminole piece kind of design for the inner border. I found this package of trim in the trim section of the fabric store, and it was a pre-made piping that was really tiny, and I thought, oh, that'll be perfect in there. So I put that in before I put the binding on. It's a sort of traditional feather in the machine quilting. So one thing about this quilt is, I think it's a really good example of what an actual miniature quilt is, that if you look at this photograph of this, you wouldn't know if it was a bed-size quilt or a 14-inch square quilt. And I still think of my friend Gwen Marston when I look at this quilt, because she taught us to love 4-block applique. And bird and pot of flowers were made from 2 designs in my coloring book, A Miniature World. And I wanted to do that. You could color these, but you could also turn them into little quilts. The birds and pot of flowers, there's cotton fabric, but it's actually Liberty cotton. For a while they had solid fabric, so they're just perfect for miniatures. I just think that's a fun little project. And well, at the time I started working on it, coloring books for adults was a big thing. And I thought, oh, I would love to, but I really wanted it to be a decent size so that you could use the designs for other things than coloring. You can use them for little quilts. I made some out of paper, putting fusible on the back of paper and cutting that out. And it's just, it was fun. I went through my file cabinet of quilts that I'd made in the past and kind of did new drawings, this 10 by 10 inch size. And it was fun to go down memory lane and look at some of the old designs.
Welcome to a world of limitless creativity. Introducing the Bernina 990. High performance, exceptional quality, and superb stitch technology to create magic. Easily visualize your biggest dreams and projects with perfect placement of your most magical designs. This is the new Bernina 990. If you can dream it, you can create it. Create your magic.